What's going on, everybody? It's Stone back here with another video, bloody months down the line. I'm very sorry about that. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about WWE 2K16 since we're in the UK, at least. We're about a week away from it now. I believe the US, it comes out this coming Tuesday. So to be honest, let me just quickly outline what I'm going to cover here. So there's so many videos out there now revealing game footage, so many facts and opinions, blah blah blah. So let's think of this as a sort of pre-review, if that makes any sense. What that basically is what I'm going to do. People will probably hate me for this, but I'm just going to pick out my sort of positives and negatives based on stuff I've seen and know so far. I've not played any sort of build of the game as many people have been invited to by 2K, blah blah blah. Nothing like that. So I'm just going based on what I've seen and the news I've read. So unfortunately, it's probably mostly going to be negative points. Now, like I say, people probably hate me for this. If 2K ever see this, which I doubt they will, even though I might even tweet it to them, let's see what they think of it. I'd like to say this is constructive criticism, perhaps, because I've done some programming in my past, and my god, it is a horrible job. So obviously, I'm not going to tell them how to do their job or even attempt it myself. So anyway, let's talk about the last video I did was about the trailer with Stone Cold digging up the belt. So obviously the Stone Cold showcase mode is going to be a big part for me, so let's start there. So I was a little disappointed with the fact that apparently the only real showcase mode is the Stone Cold mode. So that basically covers almost his entire wrestling career, let's say, from starting in ECW, I believe, and then, well, no, starting in WCW and then covers ECW and then obviously WWF, WWE, what have you. Yeah, I was quite disappointed because I thought maybe there might be another mode at least. So in 2K15 we at least got two modes. We got the John Cena CM Punk mode and the Triple H Shawn Michaels mode. But in this it's just a Stone Cold mode, and then they recently revealed with all the DLC there's just going to be bonus matches. And for me that kind of feels a bit like a cop-out, but the fact that is the case, I suppose that lends more attention to the Stone Cold mode, which sort of gave them perhaps more space on their disc, or however this whole thing works. I'm not an expert, so then they can focus more on that mode. But it would have been nice to have a bit more selection, let's say. I don't really know what sort of rivalries they could have done. Perhaps, let's say, Rock and Triple H or something like that. That was a very long, drawn-out rivalry, I'd say. And when it's sort of not culminated, but Backlash 2000, I remember that was a fantastic sort of conclusion to that match, with Stone Cold helping The Rock out and The Rock finally taking the title from Triple H at the time, so that was great. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that there's not much selection there, but nonetheless I am hoping that the Stone Cold showcase will be great. I've heard that apparently it actually starts at the 1996 King of the Ring, where Austin 316 was born, for lack of a better term. So yeah, and the WCW and ECW matches are just random bonus matches, so that was a bit strange to me. But anyway, that's that out the window. My career, I suppose, this is looking a lot better from what I've heard. At least this time it doesn't end when you just win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was the case in 2K15. So apparently my career spans over 15 years this time, and you can, once you win the title, you can defend it, and it looks like you've got a lot more selection. You can actually choose how you conduct interviews and promos, which we never had at all in the last one, I don't think. The matches look like they probably have a bit more meaning to them, because I believe you can select your rivalries you want to go into or what title you want to go after. Whereas the last 2K15, it was just match after match. They made no sense whatsoever. And then once you hit the... I never actually fully played through the whole 2K15 my career, by the way. I just got fed up, so I YouTubed it, see what happens, YouTube tutorials. And I saw one great rant about once you win the title, you just retire and then you come back for one bonus match and it doesn't even make any difference. Or it doesn't mean anything. You just play some randomly generated person that, was it Byron Blade? I might be wrong, something like that. So it seemed like a complete waste, really. But this one looks a lot better, and hopefully I won't leave it for too long. In the last one I just couldn't really be bothered to make my character But yeah, hopefully I'll touch the My Career mode sooner rather than later once I get the game, and perhaps post up my thoughts and opinions on it. The WWE Universe mode does look a lot better. I watched the tutorial video yesterday, and it looks like there's a whole lot more selection. You can obviously select what superstars go on which brands, and they're locked to that, or they can obviously go on each one. I'm only hoping that the storylines and cutscenes make sense this time. I've been crying out for this for many years now. In Universe mode, all the cutscenes make no sense whatsoever. Like, for example, one time you have your rival with a ticket sitting in the front row, and then the next week they're just completely gone, and that whole cutscene made no sense. So I'm hoping that they sort of string together, and I've sort of seen that it sort of gives you a breakdown of when the rivalry will end, and they can actually move up the ranks, and it tells you when someone's the number one contender. So it's a little more informative. It seems like you've got greater selection this time. The whole create a show mode works into this, so obviously if you want to create your own pay-per-view, you can have that each year or whatever throughout the Universe mode. So that sort of ties in with the whole create an arena coming back into it. That sounds like it could be fun. Make some fun arenas and everything, and past ones, since there's a load of templates. So based on creating an arena, I'm kind of disappointed, as I'm sure a lot of people are. There's not storyline creator once again. The whole create a show mode, I'm sure I'm not the only one here, but there was probably some hope that this would be the storyline creator again, but it's, like I said, it create a show, so it gives you full customization of the stage, the nameplate, the match graphics and so on. So that's pretty good, but it's not storyline creator. I thought at least maybe it would be like you could create a pay-per-view, like for example in the WWF Attitude game on the old consoles like PS1 and N64. You could actually create a pay-per-view and play through that like a match card on one event. I thought it was going to be like that, but it's not, so you know, it's a little disappointing, but hey ho, there we go. So you got the old modes like create a championship, create a diva. That should be fun. There's a lot of templates in there, seen some of those, blah blah blah. So that's all fine and dandy, and moving on to the next point. Sorry, this video is just completely random, but anyway, when Seth Rollins' entrance first dropped, he might have been like the first entrance they dropped. You know, the graphics once again look great. They started with 2K15 last year, but they look great on the next gen or current gen PS4, Xbox One. But first thing I noticed, hate to be a downer, is when he's walking to the ring, as he's walking down the entrance ramp, all the crowd are facing towards the ring, and I just thought it seems very robotic. It would be good maybe if they could sort of swivel and follow the character as they're walking down the entrance ramp. It just looks very silly to me, especially when the camera's really panned out, and you can obviously see that they're just fixed looking at the ring, and I thought, it would have been better if they could have just sort of panned and swiveled, let's say. So that's a minor thing. The graphics probably from previews look the same, but I've heard reports that apparently they look a lot better. One person reported that the Finn Balor character looked quite realistic to his real life self, so that should be pretty good. Obviously these graphics look better when you actually see them in person rather than on YouTube or whatever, because the quality deteriorates probably. So I'm looking forward to that. Gameplay kind of looks the same, but obviously there's a few new things. To be honest, my real opinion is that 2K16 is the game that we should have gotten last year with 2K15. I really thought that 2K15 was going to be like turning over a new leaf, and like they were going to really redo the whole thing from the ground up. But in the end, it was a big disappointment. I'm going to admit it was a very big disappointment. And I think finally this is the game that we should have got last year. It feels like they've sort of touched on everything. We've got a great roster, apparently over 120 characters, with some more with DLC coming in the future. And it feels like they've really sort of taken their time to perfect 2K15, but building from the ground up, I don't know if maybe that's something they're going to do next year or the year after or in a few years' time. It would be good, because I suppose the gameplay and animations can only go on for so long before they really need to be refreshed. But like I say, I'm not a programmer, so I can begin to imagine the sort of hard work that goes into it, but you know, obviously time constraints and everything, it must be a hell of a job. Based on sort of time constraints and programming, let's say. It's also quite disappointing that some people have not been included. So, of course, I'm pretty sure most people are disappointed that the 4 horsewomen, let's say. So, you got Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Bayley on in the game. And it's quite disappointing since just around when 2K15 dropped last year, Sasha Banks was saying that she'd been scanned for the game. So, everyone's thinking, oh, they've scanned her already, she's definitely going to be in the next game, but she's not even in it as DLC. And I think the development team said that they scan people, but obviously to put their attires and everything is a whole different ball game, and with time constraints they couldn't fit at least Sasha Banks in. But so that's quite disappointing, very disappointing as well, that she's not going to be part of DLC. And then you have to consider apparently Samoa Joe's going to be DLC, and he only came in a few months ago. I'm happy that he's going to be part of it, but it's disappointing that those girls and a few others aren't going to be in the game. So, another criticism I have is the championship belts. As you know, if you subscribe to my channel, I'm somewhat of a belt enthusiast. I'm not going to proclaim to be the biggest expert in the world, but I collect some belts, do reviews, blah, blah, blah. So I'm a little disappointed that the belts look the same pretty much. For example, there was a video of Dolph Ziggler with the World Heavyweight Championship. This was demonstrating his championship entrance animation. And the World Heavyweight Championship looks flat as hell. There's hardly any detail in it, and the colour looks way off. And I've just seen the New Day's entrance as well, and the Tag Team Championships. If you get replicas, apparently they're like some of the best replicas out there, because the detail is very good for a replica. And in the game, they just look completely flat and terrible. There was no detail in the entrance video, and it is majorly disappointing. And as well as that, if you want to get even more into detail, you can see the bolts on the back of the straps, so it's obviously based off a replica rather than having a smooth sort of leather backing or whatever belt backing the belt has. So yeah, that's one of my little criticisms. But otherwise, I didn't expect this video to go on for as long as it has. But anyway, other than that, I am really looking forward to the game. I sold 2K15 some months ago, so I've been without a wrestling game for a good while now. Being a wrestling fan, that's a little hard to do. So I'm really looking forward to the game, actually. And I'm pretty sure once I do receive it, I'll be playing it it'll probably be about the only game I play on my PS4 for a good while. I'll probably get the season pass if that's available, because I would love to have Samoa Joe in the game. And I'm gonna, since I pre-ordered it, I'll be getting the Arnold Schwarzenegger models, and I'm really curious to see how the attributes for the Terminator models are going to be, because realistically, you know, it's a freaking machine. How can you take down a machine? If you've seen the Terminator films, and I'll be very surprised if anyone hasn't, when they just sort of punched Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, they couldn't phase him. So surely his attributes are all going to be 100 and everything, I would have thought. Maybe agility might not, I don't know, because of his weight, but it just boggles me, really. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, it'll be fun. The Terminator 1 model looks pretty good. The T2 model is a bit questionable. But yeah, with that, with all the Attitudes era type stuff and the modern era type stuff, I think in Universe mode I'm going to have some fun with that, because I'm thinking maybe have modern day show, Attitude Era show, NXT, and perhaps even like the sort of golden ages. So for example with let's say Macho Man, Ric Flair, and those sort of characters. So yeah, I think once you play through the game, I think Universe mode can keep people, or at least me, tied over for a good while. I am looking forward to that. I'll most likely be posting up some gameplay footage like of matches and that, as I've done in the past. I apologise if a lot of my points have been criticisms and I've missed out anything, but I'm literally doing this off the cuff. And yeah, constructive criticism, 2K Games. But anyway, I am really looking forward to it, and I am no doubt going to be receiving it next week or the week after, as I pre-ordered it, and it should be in the mail next week at least. So anyway, guys, let me know if you have any thoughts on this. If you actually watched through the whole video, thank you very much. You can hit like, subscribe if you want to. It doesn't really matter. It would be nice though, just to see numbers. Well, hey, everyone does it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit me up on the Twitter. It's probably somewhere. I'll put in the description. I'm not really bothered about that. Are you excited about 2K16? What are your plans for Universe Mode? What are you going to be doing with the game? And yeah, let me know if you want to see more gameplay videos once the game drops next week. So anyway, guys, until the next time, I'll catch you later. All the best.